Hello, everyone out there in Twitter land and YouTube and wherever else it is that you might be finding this, maybe even on Facebook, since that's where my guest spends most of his online time. And today, my guest here on Fighting the Void is none other than John Kramer. He is the brains, the talent behind what is known as the Lego Church Project, and we'll be showing you some photos and stuff from some of his work as we go through the show here. Some really intricate Lego designs that are the equal of pretty much anything I've seen. And I used to go to Lego conventions in Chicago just because I thought they were cool. So, with that being said, John, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Anytime. So, John, first of all, what is the Lego Church Project? These are two words that don't necessarily go naturally together.
Well, what the project is me building my own design, a giant parish out of Lego bricks, usually around 47 by 24, 25 inches wide. So we're talking about 25,000 pieces, if not more.
That's also that is a lot of bricks.
About 40 pounds worth.
Holy cow.
Give or take.
That's like all of my kids' Lego bricks.
Oh, I still got a 25-gallon bin of stuff that actually didn't go into the project. I still salvage stuff every so often.
Oh, wow. Goodness.
It's not a project built unless I've dived into the 25-gallon at least once or twice. Okay, so you mentioned that these are your... Well, first of all, let me see. Why do you do this? Why do you take 20,000 plus Lego bricks and turn them into a church? It's a form of evangelization for me.
Okay.
I've got a mild form of cerebral palsy. And so what I do is I share my faith with others in a very creative way. Mm-hmm. Disability awareness is something that's near and dear to my heart. So I take the time to put everything into what I do. And I'm hoping that at some point that someone may get some hope. If they're facing a challenge, God can still use your talents. If you've got a disability like I do, God can still use your talents. And that's what, for me, fuels the creative fire, so to speak. Well, that is perfectly noble thing to do here. Now, how is it that this raises awareness of disability?
Because this is a phrase that gets thrown around a lot. Like, I'm doing this to raise awareness of that. Okay.
Well, for me, it really is about showing people what can be done. That we are not limited by our challenges. Really, when you think about it, we all have some challenge that we face, whether it be a medical condition, mobility issue, or whatnot, and yet here I am. God has given me this amazing talent to share with others. So in effect, I do raise awareness because I'm living God's evangelization. I've answered the call to evangelization, and God has given me that wonderful talent to do.
Now, so basically, you're showing people that, hey, I've got this thing. I'm not letting it define me. I'm not letting it say I can't do this. I can't do this, so, oh well, I guess I won't do anything. You say, well, what can I do? Yeah. And it turns out you've got now, have you always been into doing the Legos and everything?
Yes. Yeah, what happened was I was always growing up, I was always building churches or something, or buildings. Mm-hmm. I had friends who used to be able to build these elaborate spaceships, and I always used to get so jealous. So here I am, I'm building these churches one after another, to the point where when I did my first display in Flushing, Michigan, that was a turning point for me. That's what kind of took this from a childhood hobby into the evangelization.
Okay. Now, what was it about that project in particular that made that breakthrough?
It was just a chance. I had shown it to some people from the place that we were going to church at, and they decided they loved it. The kids loved it, and it's like, okay, I'll just do a weekend. I'll take it out for a week and let people see it. And when I started doing the Christmas display, that's the big one that I do at my home parish. I was still living in Flushing at the time. It wasn't until years later that I moved back to Saginaw. But ever since 2003, I've been taking it taking the project out to Christmas, and that's just like been the big thing for me.
Nice. Now you build. Go ahead.
I mean, what I'll do is I'll set it up about first, second weekend of Advent, and from there I will leave it up till the end of Christmas season.
Now, is this the actual church you do, or is this a separate Christmas display that you make?
No, this is the final display of my year.
Okay. All right.
When I'll do about 3 or 4 displays depending on how many places are interested in hosting me. So this is actually the last stop of a year-long process.
Okay, nice. So now you mentioned 20,000 Lego brick, or so.
Yeah.
How does one gather up that many Lego bricks? Because I know from personal experience, because again, I have kids. They're not cheap, man.
Bricklink is my friend.
What's that?
Bricklink is my friend.
Bricklink. Oh, I don't even know what Bricklink is. You have to educate me.
Bricklink is an online marketplace that was just recently bought by Lego, where you have hundreds of vendors who are selling used and new brick.
Oh, wow.
You can basically find any kind of part you want if you're willing to pay the right price for it. And thanks to the generosity of others, I'll have people drop off Legos to me. I will have people drop off donations to me. It is nice. thanks to that kindness that I'm able to expand my collection of parts.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's why I've got some brand new pieces going into this season 21 build that I started a couple weeks ago.
Very
so
nice.
I've been working on that for a couple hours here and there. Got pretty decent progress so far, considering. So
now you mentioned you do different seasons, and you from talking before, you're in season 21 now.
Yeah.
So you've been doing this for 21 years.
Yes, which is a bit of a surprise to me too.
It's no short amount of time, that's for sure. Since I mean, just to take a guess, I'm willing to bet you younger than me. So that's a significant chunk of your life right there.
I'll be 43 in June.
Oh, we're almost exactly the same age, actually. You're just wearing it better.
Yeah, bit surprised on that too, but no,
that's great.
Only in the beard, my friend. Only in the beard. That doesn't matter to me either.
That's what I tell people. The gray is only in the beard. Just ignore what's going on up here.
I don't care. I'll grow old gracefully. I guess that's the way I see it.
Yeah, that's pretty much the way I figure it.
Well, and I mean, for me, doing this year after year, there's always a challenge to it. There is always this desire to feel accepted for what you do. Over the years, I've had a chance to take part in a lot of interesting things. A couple years ago, during season 19, I did a disability awareness conference in Saginaw. That was a lot of fun. Some people on Twitter found out about it. I made a comment, and all of a sudden, a couple days later, I get an invite from the Diocese of Saginaw to come out. So you get to do a lot of interesting things. I love going up to All Saints Parish in Bay City. They've got a wonderful community up there. Been there the last couple of years. Father Jose over there is a wonderful priest, a wonderful shepherd for that community. So you get to meet a lot of interesting people and interact with an amazing group within the church.
Now, out of curiosity, do you ever talking about that? Taking your stuff around. Do you ever go out of the kind of the Saginaw Bay City area?
It kind of depends on the situation. A couple years ago, for season 18, I went back to the Mount Zion community where I originally did my first display. That was a lot of fun. Just a short weekend run, really. Those are always a lot of fun. I love doing the parish displays because you get to interact with more people, but at the same time, those special events and the holiday bazaars are also a lot of fun because you deal with so many. You deal with a lot of non-Catholics at that point,
right? That
may get to see something they've never seen before,
and gives you a chance to actually to do some of that evangelization. Yeah. Although I imagine actually, even just staying within the parish, there's a lot of evangelizing the younger people and stuff that are coming out check out what you're doing?
Well, there was one year that a little girl heard about the project, and their parents had not been to church in a while. As soon as she heard about it, she wanted to go see it. So, nice. If I can even bring one person, one visitor to the church, then I know I'm doing something right.
Clearly, I would say. Now, you mentioned, again, with the different seasons. Now, I know you've got different themes for each season, I gather?
It kind of depends on what the story is that I'm trying to tell.
Okay.
There are some times where there's more of a focus, like say in the tabernacle, more focus on the people. So it kind of I really don't know what I'm going to do until I actually sit down with the bricks and see where the story is going to go. Where does God want me to take this? This is God's project. I'm just the builder.
That's good.
So I often don't know exactly where things will go. I have a rough idea of where I want to take things, but sometimes things don't always work out. 21 years, and I can tell you 21 different stories of what didn't go according to plan.
Yeah, I am sure that's the case. These things can't be easy to do, that's for sure.
Yeah, sometimes things just don't work out according to what you're trying to do. So.
Yeah. Now you've got you mentioned that these are your own designs. So the designs are all out of your own head. They're not based on any particular parish necessarily.
Inspired, but not. But
inspired.
It's not.
Okay.
It's my own design though. I take a lot of building cues from different styles of churches, and I try and incorporate those. I study a lot of churches to see where things have been, where things are going.
Okay.
The big thing lately has been the tabernacle being more front and center. I notice those trends, and I try and incorporate those trends when I think it makes sense.
Very good, very good. Yeah, it actually, there seems to be, and I personally think this is a good thing. There seems to be a move back towards more of a traditional design and aesthetic in general within the Catholic world.
Well, I think there's a hybrid, kind of a blend between the modern and the more traditional.
Yeah. When I say move back, I don't necessarily mean a complete flipping the switch and going back to 1959 necessarily.
Well, the one thing that I try and incorporate is this understanding that you can have a modernist design and still have respect for the Mass, which I think is something some parishes inadvertently moved away from. But you're starting to see that pendulum shift backwards now, back towards a more kind of that blended style where you see more tradition. You see a lot of people who want more traditional Mass, which is fine. I really don't have a problem with that. I don't get into those infamous liturgy wars you see on Twitter sometimes.
I know. Yeah.
But it's like you can spend your life arguing point and point, but in reality is we're all in this together.
Mm-hmm. Pretty much the way, I think the way I look at that is if Jesus is still showing up at the Mass, I probably should not get too wound up.
Exactly.
So long as there's still an obvious attempt at respect being shown. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's things I like, there's things I don't like. Like I said, I'm happy about the move back to back in the direction of the traditional. I think that's good. But at the same time, I'm not getting. I don't go to bed wondering, worrying about whether or not the Mass I went to was valid.
Yeah, exactly. I don't worry about that because of the fact that the Eucharist is present, and I mean, you run it, as I said, you run into a lot of interesting people while you're at the church.
Yeah.
The goal is not to be a stranger.
Yes, absolutely. Now, I'm gonna bring up some of your albums that are on Facebook here in just a minute because some of the designs you've got are really intricate, and I'm definitely gonna have some questions about how you did some of this stuff because some of it is very, very interesting. In fact, why don't I go ahead and bring that up now? And
that's season 20.
Okay, season 20. So this was last year. You were just showing this at Christmas.
Yeah, and What's interesting about this particular one is, number one, is the bell towers are very different from what I've done before.
Okay.
And what a lot of people don't realize is that there's two actual bells inside those towers.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they ring. I don't know if you can see it on there, but there's those little knobs sticking out
right here. Yep.
Yeah, that you can turn those and the bells will ring.
Oh, very cool. Nice. Now, are they actual? So they're actual bells, not Lego bells?
Yeah, they're bells from Hobby Lobby.
Oh, very cool. Very cool. So it isn't necessarily just Lego stuff that you're incorporating. You incorporate a few things, other things as needed.
As needed. There's a crucifix in there that I use as the carrying procession cross.
Nice.
For season 21, I'll have a statue of the Blessed Virgin Mary inside.
Very cool.
Which I've been really looking forward to. Both of those were donated by Rugged Rosaries.
Oh, okay. Oh, nice. Yes. They do like combat rosaries and that sort of thing, right?
Yeah, I basically, sometimes the way I get things is I make a comment on Twitter, and I'll get a direct message saying, "Hey, what's your address?"
And there you go.
The roof cross on there is a piece I've been using for the last couple of years. First time I ever elevated it like that, and that added a couple extra pounds to the project overall.
Yeah, I'll bet. One Lego piece isn't that much, but that many? Yeah.
Well, you have to figure that roof cross is a solid separate piece that just drops in there, and gravity holds it in place.
Oh, okay.
Same with the roof tiles too. Those are just held in place.
Mm-hmm. Now I'm curious. Are there any churches you're aware of that actually have this giant roof cross?
I'm not sure, actually. I know there's a lot of churches that use a cross design. Mm-hmm. And because I'm kind of limited by the workstation, it's really kind of hard to do that kind of wings, those extended wings.
Right.
What a lot of people don't also realize is that there's Christmas tree lights in there.
Oh yeah. I can tell you've got that lit from the inside. I kind of assumed that you were using like Lego lights because I think they produce some.
Good old fashioned tree light, LED tree lights.
Even better.
I've got a 50 count strand on the lower and a 100 count strand on the upper half.
Very cool. Now I notice I don't know if there's a better picture of it later on down the line, but we've actually got essentially a stained glass window down here. How do you come up with that sucker?
Actually, that's not my design. There was another Facebook page called Catholic Bricks, worth checking out if you can.
Okay.
He made those for me and sent them to me.
No kidding. So this is actually like he painted it on Lego bricks or something?
Took a decal and put it on there.
Very cool. Very cool.
So there's four of them in there, and season 19 was the first one to actually use them, but season 20 was the first one to use them in a very prominent spot, and season 21 will also have them in a very prominent spot.
Nice. I like that.
People just love it.
Yeah, I see. We've got more over here.
Yeah, there's four total. There's four total.
Mm-hmm.
I've also seen I got the Roman numerals there. That's always a challenge. That's always a challenge to put in.
Is that just to delineate which year this is?
Yeah, exactly. I've been doing it since season 11. Season 11 is the first one that ever used the Roman numerals.
Okay. Now, I'm assuming with each one of these, after the year is done, you take it down. You take it all apart and start over.
Yeah, it will take me about 2 to 3 days at around 8 to 10 hours, depending on how long I work on it.
Just taking it apart?
Just taking it apart. Takes me 2 months to build and 8 hours to tear it apart, which is bittersweet.
I can well imagine. That reminds me of when I went to the Lego conventions at Chicago. There was this one group. I think they were out of Germany. This one year they did this great Lord of the Rings setup, and I mean, they hit all of the major scenes from like Big End, all the way to Mount Doom, and it was just everything they did was amazing, and they're freaking the Sauron Tower at Osgiliath.
Oh yeah.
His that tower in particular definitely caught me, just how big and well done it was. And then the next year I saw them, and I was telling them about their display. It was, if I remember right, it was very Wizard of Oz centric. And there was this tornado. It was all made out of black bricks, and they said that it was out of Osgiliath. They had taken Osgiliath apart and some other stuff. Everything. I'm like, oh man, I don't think I would have the heart. I'll be honest. I'd build like one thing like that and just be like done. Like, oh, yeah, accomplished. I'm good. I don't know that I could bring myself to take it down.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat. It's kind of a bittersweet process when the season goes down, especially considering the all the interior details that are inside that.
Yeah, do we have some shots of the inside as we go through the album here? Oh,
yeah, and
there's a good shot there of the very end. Oh, cool. You even got some people in there looking out. I like it.
Yeah, you got the balcony section. That signature cross that you see in the center there.
Yeah.
A variation of that has been used since season 5.
Okay.
With the exception of one season, that was season 7, because that's just because I didn't plan for it. But so there's ever since season 8, there's always been a version of that cross in there in some form. Kind of my trademark, kind of my signature. Let me know that's my work.
Okay. Somebody steals some pictures and stuff from, starts posting it as their own stuff online. Does that ever happen? I'm just curious.
I haven't noticed it. I'm sure people have taken photos of it every so often, but I'm not exactly worried about it because people know my work. They know what I do.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's pretty unique thing. I mean, you have to realize that's just your standard card table that thing is sitting on, and that's in our commons area of our apartment complex.
A lot of space there, yeah.
Yeah, the property manager's been kind enough over the last couple of years to let me bring it out so I can get some decent photos of it.
Oh, that's cool.
And of course, the head of the property management company just loves my work.
Nice.
She just loves my work. So it's like it's not a question of if, just a question of when.
Right.
Yeah. If you scroll through enough, you'll actually see some decent.
There we go. There's the congregation. Okay.
You got the power chair there.
Power chair right there. Yep.
You got the Knights of Columbus figures. The same guy, Catholic Bricks, gave me the ideas for those.
Oh, okay. No, that's clever because I remember the first time, because I'm a convert. I've been Catholic less time than you've been making these. Not that much less time, but still. And I remember the first time I actually saw like Knights of Columbus, fourth degree, out in their full regalia and everything. I had no idea what was going on.
I saw them many, many years ago at St. Anastasia Parish. I forgot what season I was displaying at, but they were there for something, and it was just, it always struck a chord with me.
Mm-hmm.
So I always want to try and include them at some point. I'm a third degree myself, so.
Yeah, same now. Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it was cool. It was when I was going through RCIA.
Oh yeah.
And I think it might have been it was probably Feast of Corpus Christi actually.
Oh wow.
And because they were processing around the church with the monstrance. And I had no idea what was happening. When we went for class on Monday, I asked about it. I was like, so what was going on with like the dude with the swords and the big sunburst looking thing someone was carrying, the father was carrying? Like, oh, well, the Eucharist was in the monsters. I'm like, oh, okay, good. It's kind of what through. Those were the Knights of Columbus. They were fourth degree guys and everything. Oh, honor guard. Got it. Okay. Very cool. So yeah, right away I could pretty much tell that's what you had going on there. Now, what else have we got going on? I was reading an article that you had sent me, and sometimes you throw in surprises.
Oh yes, there's all kinds of surprises. I don't know if you can see it. If you look in the midway point on your far left, you should be able to see a little green army figure tucked away.
Right there.
Yeah, there's 4 of them hiding in there.
Cool. Oh, that's cool.
That's from the other side.
Yep.
Yeah, you got all kinds of stuff on that.
Nice. Oh, let's just see what you got going on the.
Well, a lot of people don't.
See the light coming up through there.
Yeah, well, a lot of people don't realize those can come off, so people can look inside.
Nice. Well, that makes sense. That way, people can actually appreciate all the work that you put in, making that happen. Nice. I like all the windows and stuff you got hanging out here. That's cool.
I've got some brand new pieces going in for season 21 so far. That's going to be really change the look of the project, especially the lower half.
Nice. Oh, here we go. Oh, cool. Yeah, you got the choir and everything.
Yep, got the organ, got the organ, you got the choir, you got a couple of musical instruments. I know a couple people who do music ministry within the churches.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not uncommon to see a guitar here and there. So I know some people would cringe at that thought, but well, I don't get into those debates.
It is what it is, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, looks like my buddy Jake was watching, and he was just commenting that the work is pretty awesome.
Yeah, I see Linda Radigan from one of the prayer groups that I belong to. She saw it. She's watching it too. So, nice. Hello.
Oh, are you via Facebook or Twitter?
Facebook.
Nice.
Yeah.
Let's see what else we got going. Oh, was that? I want to go back real quick. That is that crucifix? Is that another Catholic Bricks item or?
That is another Catholic Bricks item.
Okay.
And it's been used many years. Season 18, all the way present. It's going to be back again. Very prominent spot. There's the Rugged Rosaries crucifix for the procession cross.
Nice.
So
nice. I dig it. Yeah, I'm gonna have to let my son know about both of those places you mentioned, the Catholic Bricks and the Brick Links, because he's not as into Lego as he used to be, but he still goes about building some stuff every now and then, and he gets creative.
Well, there are a lot of adult builders out there. Brothers Brick I go to Brothers Brick all the time and look at some of the interesting creations. There's a good shot of the lights.
Nice.
Yeah, season 20 used a different style of roof support.
Okay.
Where I used plates in there, and it made things a little bit challenging to build. But once it's all tied together, it's pretty sturdy for the most part.
Now, how much planning do you put into this before you actually start building?
Some planning. Some obviously there's some things that you have to look at from a structural standpoint, but for the most part, the entire design is freeform. About the only thing I know ahead of time is where the Grand Cross is going to sit.
Gotcha.
Once I know where my signature cross is going to go, everything else flows from there. And that kind of depends on what do I want the people to see. If I want people to focus on the tabernacle, I'll put the Grand Cross behind it.
Okay.
That kind of thing. That's what I'm doing with the current build so far.
Gotcha. So you you're not drawing it out or anything like that. You're not doing drafting pages. You pretty much go, this is more or less what I want it to look like, and let it roll.
Yeah, and season 20 is one of the few that came out as envisioned. Very rare. Most times they don't do that.
No, I can't imagine. Are there ever any where you get going, you're like halfway into it, and you're like, this isn't working, I got to start over?
Kind of.
Oh no.
I had season 16. I was at the end of the build. Noticed that there was a piece that was just not working right, and trying to figure out. So I tore it apart all the way down, and I discovered that one of those blue support columns that you see, had actually physically lifted up and it was sitting on one of the floor plates, which threw it off by 1/3. Which, as you're building, you don't notice it much. However, though, as you get up the build, that's when you start noticing problems. So I had to completely rebuild that entire section.
Oh no.
Worked on the other side to make it even. A couple hours worth of work, but overall, I'm happy with how it turned out.
At least you were able to catch it before you got too.
Oh no, I was almost at the end of the build for that one.
Oh, were you? Oh, goodness. At least you didn't have to completely redo the whole thing. Jeez.
I had a similar problem. Similar problem on season 20. There was something that wasn't lining up right. Yeah. So I had to go through all the individual columns and realize that there was a plate stuck to one of them that I had missed before, and it's like, okay, that's just enough to throw you off. So,
yeah, one of the bells you were talking about there.
Yeah, not the most stable design in terms of keeping the plate in place, but it worked.
As long as it works.
Yeah.
Now, do you ever do any other complicated builds? Other than the churches, or
it kind of depends. Sometimes I've taken and built crosses. I built a player piano one time, just cool. As a gag gift. I built 2 of them, one for me and one for my dad, who plays piano.
Cool.
So,
was it a functional piano?
No.
I'm kidding. Is that Solanus Casey back there?
Yes.
Nice.
I put his picture back in along with the replica relic cross that I built. Nice. He had been featured in season 18 before, so.
Now, for those who don't know the story of Father Solanus Casey, educate the audience, because I have a lot of non-Catholics that watch the show.
Well, Father Solanus was a Capuchin who spent a lot of his time in Detroit.
Mm-hmm.
He's the reason why there's a Capuchin soup kitchen, because he had such a love of soup, and he was the doorman.
Mm-hmm.
He had some learning disabilities, and so there was not a lot that he could do, and yet God used him in a very creative way. God used him for his wisdom and for his healing, both when he was still alive and long after he had passed. He was very known for his wisdom, and my grandparents on both sides had direct connections to him.
Oh, really? Oh,
yeah.
That's cool. Like how so?
My grandmother on my mom's side used to live across the street from the monastery.
Oh, no kidding.
And when we buried her, a long time now, when we buried her in Detroit at the cemetery that's across the street from the monastery, one of the monks came out to do the burial side blessings. So it was very important for us. I'm not fully sure how he knew my dad's mom, but we got a card from him that he sent to her.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so
when he's eventually canonized, you've got yourself a second-class relic.
Yeah. Yeah, I've actually, I don't know if it'll show up on the camera, but I actually do have, let's see, one of his prayer cards.
Ah, no kidding.
That I got from my grandmother's estate, so I keep it in my wallet with me always.
Nice, very nice. Now, what is? Yeah, as I recall, because we learned about him a little bit back in RCIA. Like I said, he had learning disabilities. He was kind of like some of the other priests and everything were kind of like, dude, you can't do much. We're going to let you be a priest. We're not going to let you actually be a priest. Go man the door was basically the deal. But you wound up having people come from quite the distance around just to, like you said, experience the wisdom that he had.
Yeah, and
the book maybe he didn't know so well, but he knew God.
I think the thing about it is that God will give you wisdom from on high.
Exactly.
And for him, Father Solanus was a conduit for that.
Mm-hmm.
He lived a very simple life, from all the accounts, and he truly was remarkable in his steadfast faith. His devotion to the Blessed Mother is unrivaled when you think about it, because he would play his violin much to the chagrin of the others, because he wasn't very good at it. But he played for the blessed statue of the Blessed Virgin Mary.
Nice.
That was his thing. So he had a profound love of life. And I truly, from someone who's got learning disabilities myself,
right,
I identify with him probably more so than a lot of the others out there, because of the fact that he's really an example for me of what it means to be faithful, even in the face of challenges that God has for you every so often.
yeah, absolutely. And honestly, people like Father Solanas are great also for people like me, because people, we tend to get trapped up in here
Yeah,
way too much, usually more than is good for us. And uh, people like Father Solanas kind of remind us it's not all it's not really about that. It's like
yeah,
that's good, that's great, that's wonderful, but that's not what it's about at the end of the day. It's about where you are with God. Period. End of story.
and I think that's when you look at what I do with the project, I think that's what it really ties into. Because for me, I'm praying for our church.
Mm-hmm.
I'm praying for our parishes, for our leaders. That's something that's very important to me while I'm working, because I'm actually doing a physical prayer when you think about it, because I'm literally building the church, and as I'm doing it, there's a prayer for people to come home.
Yeah.
Those who may have felt alienated, not welcome, that they would soften their hearts, that they would have the ability to open up their hearts and see God in everything that's around them. I think, if anything, by doing this project, I see the beauty of the world around me, and I take pleasure in the simplest of things. Even if I'm going for a bike ride at night and I see a couple rabbits floating around, those things are always fun to watch, and it's always just, you marvel at the beauty around you. And I think that's something that's truly missing in this current age. And I try and build something. I try and build something that is beautiful. Uh, it's not just for kids; it's for adults as well,
Mm-hmm.
because they truly. You have the kids who see it for Legos. They see it as a church, and they see all the little things I have hidden in there, like BB-8 and R2D2.
Right.
But you also see the adults,
Mm-hmm.
especially the older generation, who look at it and they remember the church from a different time.
Yeah.
One of the biggest comments that I always get every time I do a display is that the church is full of people. That is not a reflection of the past. That is a prayer for our future. That's something that I firmly believe with every time that I'm working on this. That if I can reach out to someone, grace of God, grace of the Holy Spirit, then I know I'm doing something right.
Yeah. Yeah. So we can make every church look like that again.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's not even a reference to the design. It's a reference to, like you said, the amount of people that are in it.
The community. We are parish communities when you think about it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that kind of identity we kind of lost in some ways. Season 20 was a challenge to build because I was doing some different things.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, though, I love how it turned out. I love what I did with it, because it really allowed me to share my creativity. Mm-hmm. And every time I sit down with the bricks, I don't know what I'm going to build, really. Sometimes some ideas work out. You have a design that is a little bit more overly complex, or something that looks good in your mind but may not necessarily translate very well.
Right.
The old expression is that looked good on paper but didn't necessarily in practice.
Yeah.
I'm no engineer. I'm not good at math at all. But here I am. I mean, I got to measure counts and stuff. Taking a look at those columns, figure out how high I can make them to match what I'm doing. I mean, a lot of interesting things that go into the structure of that to keep it from falling over.
I'll bet. I'll bet. Haven't played with them a bit. Yeah. You kind of have to get a little creative with how you build it and everything, and especially when you've got those big giant columns that could easily fall over as you're building them.
Well, yeah. Well, the columns themselves are not stable until you get everything tied in together.
Yep.
And what I do in that case is I create composite beams, of what I call them, but 3 rows of plates equal a brick. And from there, you can make just about any kind of span. You can cover just about any kind of span with that.
Mm-hmm.
So in this case, there's about 5 or 6 long beams that run the length of the project. and then get tied in together, and that's where everything sits on. That's what keeps it together for the most part. The building, much like our churches, though, the building itself is not strong until it's tied together. And much like our communities, when we're off on our own, we're fodder for the enemy. Really, when you think about it, he will use every kind of distraction to reach us. Especially when you see social media these days. Oh my gosh, you see the venom that comes across, especially in the religious circles.
Yeah.
And that's highly disheartening. It's like, I'm not necessarily trying to make a statement with my project, but at the same time, it's like, excuse me there.
Well, yeah, you're absolutely right. Social media, unfortunately, can be used to bring out the best. Often it automatically brings out the worst, unfortunately. And I find there's simple rules. One, never take anything personally.
Exactly.
2, start with the assumption that people are arguing in good faith, not bad. And 3, anytime you're getting too steamed up, just
walk away.
Take a step back. Just take a minute, think about what you're going to type, and then either don't put anything in, or take some time to come up with something constructive. Otherwise, just ignore it.
That's what I do. I probably deleted more tweets than I've sent.
I've deleted a few before I sent them. I'm like, heck, even today I was like, what's the point of this? There's no point. Okay, delete.
Yeah, I run into that problem all the time.
Yes, but like you're saying though, and social media it can be community building, but oftentimes you wind up siloing yourself, and like you said, it can leave you disconnected and sort of, fodder for the enemy, the way you put it there.
Yeah. Whereas
I think your project, as you said, you're not trying to make a statement per se, but it makes a statement regardless. And you do need to physically come together, more so than just on paper or digitally. You need to actually. It's better to be connected with people that you're in the same space with at the end of the day.
There is a beauty in the mass that you can't get anywhere else. And it doesn't matter what preference of the mass that you take. It does not matter so long as it is allowed by the Holy See.
Yep.
So there are many different paths within our faith that I love. One of the main things I love about it. And yet here I am. I'm trying to present something that's beautiful, to show the beauty of the faith and how important it should be to our lives. The church has sustained me through many challenges. There have been I've had many struggles in my life, whether it be for myself or through those who I love. Just had a recent health scare with one of our family members, and yet here God is helping us out. He's there with us always. I think that's one of the things that I've always tried to reflect on with what I do, is how important God is to us and how it should be to us.
Amen to that. Now I notice in this last little one here, well, it's not last, but in this little one here, we've got a couple other things. We got the KFC. We got the Knights of, I was like KFC, like could be mistaken for KFC. Knights of Columbus logo over here. And then,
my council actually sent me some images so I could put that in the project. I had made a comment somewhere during one of the hamburger nights and got a package in the mail.
Nice, very nice.
So,
and then hamburger nights, I like that. And then we got BB-8 hanging out over here.
Yeah, that was brand new.
Oh,
kids just loved him.
Oh, of course.
And it's kind of funny because it's like you want to keep things serious, but at the same time, though, you've got kids looking at this and they need something to gravitate to.
Yep.
There's another photo in there where you can see where I put R2-D2 for the year. That's become one of the other running jokes, so to speak.
Where's R2?
Where's R2?
There's
R2.
It's something too. It's like, have a little fun with it. Why not?
I have to. I have to have fun with what I'm doing because that comes out in the bricks. If I'm having a bad day, that comes through in what I'm doing. So R2, I started putting R2 many seasons ago, and I remember one year a 7-year-old came up to me and said, "I found R2. I found R2." It's like,
oh, that's great.
Considering the fact that where I had him was like almost impossible to find. I love it. I love that stuff. I think one year I had him behind a transparent window in plain sight. It's just like
nice.
every year I find someplace different to put him, and that's half the fun.
Oh, absolutely. Now I notice all these different color patterns and stuff on the floor. Are these different bricks, or is this like the way the light's reflecting?
No, those are 1x1 translucent light blue, dark blue, pink, and green 1x1 rounds.
Oh my! Now, what are you doing there?
I'm just creating my own pattern. I love the ornate floors.
Okay.
So what you have is along the center pathway up to the altar. You have a pattern that goes in there. For season 21, I'm going back to the old footprints in the sand kind of thing.
Okay.
That's always been something that it started off as when I started doing the interiors. I started doing it originally just used solid brick, and then eventually started working with the translucents more and more. So you'll see a lot of the interior stuff being light blue translucent and dark blue translucent. Those are two colors I use. I started using pink a couple years ago. Started using green again. So you get that in there. Once in a while, they make it in the center pattern or center path. Other times, they just end up all over the place, which is nice. And something to look at.
Yeah, absolutely. That's cool.
I don't even remember what I did for season 20's pathway. There's a little fountain there.
Oh, good.
I've had that for. Yeah, I wouldn't even be able to begin to tell you what season I started using that in. I would have to say season 6 or 7, maybe.
So for a while then.
Yeah, I've only taken it apart and rebuilt it a couple times just for structure's sake. But every year that gets into a different spot. One of my favorite photos right there.
Oh yeah, that's a good one right there. Got the altar up there.
The tabernacle was a challenge to build.
This year's
a little bit more stripped down, but it's just as ornate.
I like it though.
You got to work within the space you got to work within the space that you have, and up to that blue line. I'm going for. In my mind, I'm always measuring, always counting. So when I decided to do this particular building, because I knew what I was going to be doing, I had to add a row to it to the normal height. So it's a little bit higher than normal.
Okay.
But so that's why there's a blue dividing line literally between the first half and the second half.
Okay.
So what I'm doing for this next build, I'm doing the same thing. I'm going to do a blue line around it. To separate the halves a little bit and to create some separation between the lower portion and the upper portion. So the upper portion, the lower portion always has a different set of windows than the upper ones. It just kind of depends on what the design is, what parts I have available, and how many orders to Bricklink do I want to put in.
Yeah. Now, I'm assuming it's hard to tell. I was trying to see if I can zoom in. But with the crosses, everything up here, are these more things from my Catholic bricks, or
those are just Technica axles. And,
okay, that's what I was trying to figure out there.
Yeah, they're just off the shelf pieces using a creative use of parts.
Very cool, very cool. I like that. Let's see. We got the bells again. And let's see here. Oh, I think we're back at the beginning there, as far as that album goes.
Yeah, there should be more photos in the gallery there.
Oh, there's a whole another thing of the big long run of the congregation there. I really love the that you got the balcony area, and like you said, just that it's full, and I do still from time to time, go to a church that actually is that full.
Yeah,
and to be frank, it's usually one that is a design that is roughly similar to what you're building. It's usually the more old school ones that are packed like that.
I had Jimmy Aiken one time telling him my churches look more Catholic than some of the other Catholic churches.
It's true. And to be fair, that counts for some of the ones that I frequent. Although I will say this, my parish has been there's only so much you can do because of the architecture.
Yeah.
But they've actually been making the aesthetic much more obviously Catholic in the last year or two. They got donated this giant, awesome looking crucifix that is way better than the old Resurrexifix that is still hanging up, but this thing looks amazing. And added actually a Mary and Joseph statue in the chapel. Got some new Stations of the Cross put in there. Just overall, there's been a lot of improvement in that regard, and I think it's probably starting to show. And there's been some other some other changes that I think are going to be very good. I think it's the kind of thing that's going to be rough for a little bit.
Oh yeah,
because a lot of times when a Catholic parish tries to be more Catholic, some people get mad about that, and they leave.
Well, we have to remember that there are greater reasons for us to be there, not just our own desires.
Exactly.
I mean, I always agree with the priests that say mass, but you know what? That doesn't matter. That's why I'm. Excuse me for a second.
Oh goodness.
Michigan. Gotta love Michigan weather.
Yes. Yeah. It seems like no matter what you do, unless it's 20 degrees out, it's humid.
Oh man, got caught with this again. It's like this winter has been bad.
Well, I guess you can't decide if it's going to be winter or not.
Yeah, I know.
It's like, hey, you know what? We're going to be winter for a couple of days, then we're going to be spring again.
Spring is coming faster than we'd like.
Yeah. I don't know about that. Because I noticed a long time ago the seasons seem to have definitely shifted overall. Like winter doesn't really get going anymore until like January. And it can easily go well into March, if not April.
I don't know if you can see in the lower corner, but there's a little cat right there.
Where? Down over here?
Yeah. Look. Move your mouse.
Yep, I see it right there.
We used to have a cat that lived across the street from us at Christ the Good Shepherd, and he used to sneak in every so often, much to Father Bob's disdain. Seriously.
I probably kept it free of mice.
Oh yeah.
Probably earned its keep. But I like the overhead shot that you've got going on here. You got the KFC guys again. And
yeah, some of the photos were taken by Father Jose over at All Saints too.
Nice.
Some of the photos he included. He sent me the photos. I included them in the display gallery.
Mm-hmm.
There's a beautiful one. There's a beautiful one that I took. There's the other cat.
Oh, the other cat.
Yeah, there's two of them in there.
Oh wow. Oh, that's a good shot.
Yeah, you can see the tile. The tile design.
Yeah. No, I like that. That's cool. I meant to ask before, and before I forget again, we were talking about Father Casey. Do you have any idea what the current status of his cause is?
Not that I've heard.
Okay. I remember there was an update, but that was like probably a decade ago.
Well,
I don't recall.
Well, he's now been beatified.
Oh, he is beatified. Okay.
Yeah, he is beatified. That was back 2017, I think. Right during the season 18 project, actually, when I first featured him.
Cool.
I had put his photograph in, and then about 2 days later, they made the announcement.
Nice. And for those, again, any non-Catholics checking this out, especially after the fact, beatified is basically the step right before you get canonized as a saint. You've had one church-approved miracle attributed to your intercession, and then basically you need one more. And
yeah, from what I understood, the woman that was the reason for the miracle had a skin condition, and she never heard of Father Celeste until they visited the center.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
That is truly amazing to see that happen.
Oh, heck yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And for those who don't know, the church does not just go, oh, you say you were miraculously healed by this dude. Okay, check. No. The church basically actively tries to prove you wrong.
Yeah, the church tries to prove you wrong. From what I understood, there's a lot of jumps, a lot of hoops that you have to go through to verify.
Yeah, you've got to really, 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 really want to prove it. Man, there is no bureaucracy like Vatican bureaucracy.
Oh yes,
we have perfected the art of slowing you down with paperwork. I mean, after you've been around for 2,000 years, you can come up with all kinds of stupid to jump through.
Paperwork becomes an art form at that point.
Exactly. So yeah, in fact, the whole term "devil's advocate" basically comes from the church's canonization process where there isn't anymore, but there used to be a guy whose his whole job was to be the devil's advocate and try to say why this person shouldn't be a saint.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's not an easy thing. That's why there's actually people that are still stuck at venerable or beatified for like 100, 200, maybe more years. It's like sometimes it just takes a long time. It may not ever happen.
Sometimes it takes a day, and sometimes it takes a millennium.
Right. Saint John Paul II and more commonly known as Mother Teresa, as opposed to Saint Teresa of Calcutta. Almost no one knows her by that. But everyone knows Mother Teresa still. Those were unusually quick.
Yes, they were.
And they still took years. So what else have we got going? Oh, please, okay, don't touch.
That was from the St. Thomas Aquinas display. That was a one-weekend display I did.
Nice. Nice to bring it over and let people check it out.
Oh yeah.
Now, are there ever other people, other like Lego creators and stuff that you're displaying alongside of?
No, I'm a one-man operation here in Saginaw.
Okay. See, I'm thinking there's got to be like a Catholic Lego convention. I think that'd be cool.
Oh, that'd be fun. That'd be fun to have.
That would be very cool. Fun. We could get the people get you and other people doing work like that. Maybe people doing stuff from, scenes from from Catholic and Catholic friendly novels. Like you get your Lord of the Rings displays and your Chronicles of Narnia. So somebody's gonna try to do a Lego display of Flannery O'Connor just because.
Yeah, well, I think St. Anastasia down in Troy did something a couple years ago.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, I don't remember the full details on it, but I think I saw it on social media at one point. If memory serves me right. I don't remember how far back it was, but it was probably more than a few years ago.
Very cool. Well, hey, we are coming up on the hour here. So, is there anything else you would like to leave the audience with? What do we have to look forward to from the Lego Church project, and just what would be the what's the one thing you would want people to take away from our conversation here today?
That no matter what talents you have, you can still use them for God. Do not let your challenges weigh you down. God will still use your abilities in a creative way if you ask God to open up your heart to do so. I have been truly blessed by not only the outpouring support, but for those who support my work, especially to allow me to do a display like this. This is St. Boniface campus of All Saints. Mm-hmm. One of my favorite places to go to. I was there for part of a vacation Bible school that they were doing for that week. Mm-hmm. So it's like you have a lot of people who, when you have support for what you do, it's profound and important. And we cannot be limited by what our challenges are. God will allow us to do so much more if we just ask Him.
I can't think of a better note to end on than that, John. So thank you very much for coming on and just sharing this amazing work that you're doing with us.
Thank you for having me. It's been a lot of fun.
This is very cool. And just before we sign off here, quick housekeeping. For those who've been following along, I've been slacking on the early Christian writing series. Basically, work was draining me. I didn't have the time or the energy to keep it going, but I'll be getting back on that this week and picking up with the Epistle of Barnabas. And then next week, we're going to have Albany Rose on the show. She is, again, a pro-life atheist who has got her own story of how it is that she wound up becoming pro-life and the work that she's been doing to help promote that cause in the many years since. So be here for that. And then shortly after, we're still working on the exact dates, but we're going to have my friend Paige Rogers back on the show to talk about things she's doing in Anglican land. And then we're going to have Whit, better known as Tornado Something 6 on Twitter, one of the more, I would say, player brandy type personalities that I interact with on Twitter. And we're not sure what we're going to discuss, but I can guarantee you it's going to be interesting. So be here, and we'll keep you updated on whatever's coming in the schedule next. So until next week, and